Sovereign Nation 3. We're on episode 3. That's so cool. And we're still going, staying consistent. Like it's just like clockwork every single week. Now that we figured out the scheduling so that they can actually go out consistently. That's a huge part. Yeah, you want to kick it off, Nonsense?
Yeah. We're just going to be piggybacking off of what we talked about last week and kind of tying in this idea of what it means to stay on top of your health and wellness programming in a very similar way as you would look at something like dollar cost averaging, right? Investing in finances, we're drawing the parallel with investing in yourself. And this is something that becomes really important when we think about the long term, because it's not about the changes that you can make today, because the work that you do today isn't going to pay out today. It's going to pay out later. So you want to run with that?
Yeah. I see that all the time with clients is we try to put time limits on things. And we say, I'm going to get here. I'm going to get where I want to be by here. And we give ourselves such short deadlines that we're not actually doing anything that benefits us. We're hurting ourselves more than we're actually helping us. We start doing fad diets. We start starving ourselves. We're not eating enough. We hit the gym so hard that we're sore for a week. Those DOMs will get you. I'm not talking about the NSFW kind either. They'll take you out for a week or so, and then you just don't have any motivation to go back to the gym, right? It's about you're not taking your coins and just throwing them all into one pot and walking away saying, that's it, I'm done, expecting life-changing results with your investments. Doing that with our health, we get the exact same results, and those results don't work. They're whimsical at best, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for going hard when you're in a place to go hard, right? But when you're starting out on a journey, or you're getting into something new, something that you find challenging in any way, shape, or form, like you have to be willing to sit in that place of discomfort and work through to arrive where you want to go. Setting that deadline, right, that makes it really, really, that puts a lot of strain on your mental capacity to just want to show up every day, right? Because all of a sudden you're way too focused on the outcome, you're way too focused on the results. And when you have a day that doesn't go as well as you thought it would, when you have days where you really struggle to pull it out, right, that starts to build into disappointment. That starts to build, you start to resent the process, as you had mentioned, right? A lot of resentment that comes up, and then you fall off because you weren't able to sustain the level of activity that you had set yourself up for in order to achieve the goal at the point that you'd wanted to.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'll add some clarification there. Dude, I'll just backtrack a little bit. There's nothing inherently wrong with picking dates and deadlines. That stuff's going to happen. You want to look your best for a wedding or a graduation. That kind of stuff is whatever. But we can be realistic about the time frames and what we set. You know you're not where you want to be to fit into that wedding dress. Give yourself enough time before the wedding to get there, right? And now if we flip that back and we start talking about fitness or health and consistency, like we're all guilty. None of us, not one of us, eat enough veggies every single day. And you can tell me that you have veggies with every single meal, but guess what? You're probably having the same 2 to 5 things on your plate. There's not enough variety, right? And it could be a simple, it's not dive on in and make a plate full of veggies and we're good to go. It's okay. What can I do to add one more fist of veggies onto my plate every single meal? And how much more colorful can I make it? The more colors you have, the more nutritional value you're going to be getting, the more varied that nutritional value is going to be. So you're less likely to have those gaps in your diet. Working out nonsense. I'll let you actually talk about the working outside and run with that analogy, because I'm more on the nutrition and mindset side.
Totally. Yeah, in that same way as you're describing, gradually introducing more of a variety in your foods, right? It's, how do you approach your movement in that way? Because, repetitive motion injuries are a thing, right? You're doing the same thing all the time is not good for you. These bodies aren't designed for that. And so it's important to recognize that in terms of movement, we have to bring in a variety of training modalities as well. Different ways to get yourself up and running and motivated um, in order to arrive at the goals you have set for yourself. Yeah, so like in talking about going hard and setting a short-term goal and really pushing and driving to arrive at that point, right? Like going back to your point, like, yeah, goals are not bad, right? We need to be realistic about them. But even in having that realistic time frame set up, it's also important to recognize that even if that time arrives and you didn't quite make it, but you still showed up every day, well, there's still a lot to be said for that, right? And in introducing different ways of movement, in exploring the movement space and finding what really works for you that you're going to enjoy doing when you're in this process, and then going back to like the nutrition side of things, getting that in order too, like that's all incredibly vital and important. It's like diversifying your portfolio. How many, like, I don't know about you, but I don't have all my money in Bitcoin. I have a little bit of money in Bitcoin, but I have money in Ethereum, and I have money in Atom, and I have money in Algo, and I have money, I have uh, a few coins that whose protocols I've done my research in and I feel strongly about, and like I'm picking those up whenever I have a chance, right? But they're numerous and widespread and varied. And in that same regard, like we want to look at movement and nutrition in a very similar way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like that's so powerful. And I think where a lot of us get hung up, and I'm guilty of it too, is we write to-do lists and we just give ourselves a bunch of busy and unfocused work. And we've got lists upon lists upon lists of all these investments we want, all these activities we want to do, this health we want, the relationships we want. And it's a to-do list of wandering generalities. One of my favorite things to do with clients who get very hung up on their to-do list is I get them to write it out and then I get them to burn it and throw it away. And naturally, I'm not saying I don't care, because I do. But when we set those benchmarks and then we take that attachment out of play and focus on what can I do, not just today, but what can I do and enjoy doing from this moment, this line in the sand, till the day I pass away, and enjoy doing it. And we find those, and that's really what the Sovereign Health Program is about, is empowering you guys to find those things and empowering you guys to find that food, to find those fitness modalities. Becomes less about the destination and getting there, and it becomes a matter of psychology and playing the game to just be consistent every single day, because that is the hardest thing to do. And that is the thing that's going to make or break us. Anybody can do anything for a day. 75 hard is a joke. Anybody could do that, anything for 75 days. Can you do it for life? If it's not something that you can do for life, the results aren't going to be sustainable. They aren't going to be maintainable, and they're going to go away faster than you achieve them. And you're going to be further behind than you were. Taking that step back to find ways to have fun and enjoy the journey and keep that consistency every single day is key. Like all the time, I have clients, I'll take their to-do list and I'll boil them down to a couple different action items. And they'll like laugh me out of the room wanting to fire me, telling me it's too easy. And I'm like, great, show me, prove it. Like, if it's easy, do it for 3 months, do it for 1 month. Chances are they're not going to make it more than maybe a week or two before they start wanting to fall off. And it's like, it seems so simple and so basic at first, but without that being able to maintain that activity consistently day in and day out, doesn't matter what we do because we're never going to want to get, we're never going to get where we want to be if we're not applying the right strategies, the right mindsets, and actually focusing on changing our behavior and the psychology that makes us want to jump into things in that capacity. Right.
Mhm. Yeah, touching on the point that you said, like, and coming to enjoy the journey, that's so important. So there's a few workouts that I do regularly that are just gnarly. And, I approach these workouts with a recognition of what I'm going to get out of them. And, you know, they're not fun. They're not. They're squats, they're deep squats on the squat rack. They're not to say that I don't enjoy squats, but like this whole circuit, it's deep squats, they're uneven deadlifts. I'm doing something with a kettlebell and then I'm doing jump squats. It's a whole circuit. I wait my 5 minutes and then you do it all again, right? Adding weight as I go. And it gets really intense. I enjoy it in the fact that it's different. It's not what you would typically associate as like a hypertrophy program, because it's not, it's metabolic, but it's different. But at some point during the workout, I will get completely tanked. I'll get to the point where I am really struggling to motivate myself to get through that last set. And I told myself I'm gonna do 4 sets. I'm gonna do those 4 sets, but that last set is rough. It is really, really hard. And I make jokes with myself all the time, like, do I really want to do this? No. But Josh would like, do you really want to do this? Also no. But I want the results that I get out of this, and that motivates me to continue to show up regularly, right? But now I've already arrived at a point where I can recognize these. I've been doing this for years, to the point where it's just like, I'm not a beginner. I've come to recognize what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what I know I'm going to do despite not wanting to do it, and what I'm just not going to do, because that not only does it sound not fun, but it's not something that I find valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so that's one facet of it. The other facet is I enjoy running. And I have a friend of mine and I that we go running together whenever we can find spare time to do it. And now that it's starting to get like really hot, we both decided, hey, we need to get on our we need to amp up our training game, because we're looking at doing some trail races either later this year or early next year. And if we want to be able to compete at any measurable level, like any level that's actually worth, competing at, we need to be able to run no matter what. And Tuesday it was 104 degrees. We hit the trails. It was a miserable run. And yesterday it was 99 degrees when we hit the trails. And I remember distinctly telling my friend when we were starting the run, I'm like, I'm really working hard, because that Tuesday run just destroyed me. And hitting that same run again yesterday, it was very much one of these things where I was just like, I'm really trying to put myself in that mind frame of, this isn't miserable. I actually want to do this, and more than wanting to do this to get better at it in terms of conditioning, like I want to come to that place of enjoying myself while I'm doing it. And a big part of that is, pushing myself to a place where I don't feel like I'm struggling so hard. And that takes time. That takes a lot of that mental capacity to be present and the patience to allow for myself to come to that place where no matter how hot it gets, like, yeah, I'm still going to have fun on these hills. You know, that's important.
That's such a key point, for anybody to remember. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, where you came from, none of that matters. One thing that we as human beings all have in common is we all want to be better. That's one thing. The other thing is we have hundreds, if not thousands, of examples from our own personal lives where we've learned something new. There is not one thing about us as human beings that we have not had to learn. Guaranteed, the majority of the stuff that we had to learn, it doesn't matter how passionate, how lit up, how excited we were when we first started, it sucked and we hated it. Whether it was learning a new language, learning to ride a bike, learning how to rollerblade, um, math, there's so many things that we all have. It's going to change from person to person, but there's multiple things that, looking back and in hindsight, we are so thankful that we developed those skills or those habits, put in the time and did the effort. The thing is, most of us, some of us, just don't care enough about ourselves in order to allow ourselves to get to that point. It's a lot easier to make the excuses and say, it's too hot today. I'm feeling run down today. Right? And come up with anything to try and talk ourselves out of it. I was talking about this in the Dow server too. We got to wrap up here. We got a couple minutes left. There's in one of my programs, I mean, we got a saying that the fear of letting the team down is always going to be worse than letting ourselves down, because we're used to letting ourselves down. We've let ourselves down our entire lives. But most human beings refuse to let down other people. Why is that? It's because of how we evolved. Back before agriculture, before domestication, back when we were nomads, hunters, and gatherers, right? The only punishment worse than death was being excommunicated, getting kicked out of the tribe, not fitting in or belonging. That was a punishment worse than death. And that is a part of our evolution and our being as human beings. So when you get around a community, when you find your tribe, it's a lot easier to maintain that consistency because you don't want to be the only one that's not, right? You see other people lifting each other up, celebrating their wins. Naturally, we just want to be a winner and we want to get involved too because we want to be within the community. And it does, maybe it sounds kind of fear-based and off-putting to some people, but that's not the intention behind it. The point is that's how we evolved. So why not leverage those basic human instincts that we have and play the game to our advantage and use it in a way that benefits us and helps us get to where we want to be, as opposed to letting it hold us back and prevent us from actually doing anything at all. And that is the power of dollar cost averaging. You're doing things that seem way too simple, way too easy, and maybe even stupid. And it may be that way for the first little bit, and then it's going to suck because you just don't want to do it anymore. You embrace the suck, you lean into it, you start feeding your courage wolf, starving your fear wolf. Next thing you know, you wake up around that deadline that you set for yourself, and there's a good chance, as long as you've stayed consistent with what you're doing, you've surpassed what you thought you were going to do in that time frame anyways. I have not seen one person that hasn't happened to. And each person that it hasn't happened to, chances are they were lying and hiding something that was holding them back.
Yeah, could very well be. There's a lot. In some of the more highbrow programs that I run, I have students coming through who are very ambitious about acquiring a particular skill set. And these are not skills that you're going to earn in a couple days, in a couple weeks, even in a couple months. These are skills that require consistent focus and practice over a very long period of time, generally. And these programs aren't designed to get you from point A to point B within the time frame of the program. These programs, there you go. These programs are designed to put you on the path of developing the habits that you need in order to arrive there. So yeah, and equip you with the knowledge that you need in terms of what you should be doing in order to get there. And so like, I know that there is a handful of people that will come through these programs thinking that they're going to get what they want within those 6 weeks. Like, oh yeah, I'll be able to do this. Like, this is what it looks like. I'll be able to accomplish and blah, blah, blah. And that's not the case. In this case, it is one of these things where it's because of the nature of the training that they're getting themselves into, because of the nature of the skills that they're working to acquire. It is something that's going to take a while. And for most of them, I usually tell my clients, don't worry about when you're going to get there, because you're going to start to get close and you're going to change that goalpost, and you're always going to keep changing that goalpost. So if you show up and you do the work, and you show up and you do the work, and you do it repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again, like, yeah, you'll arrive there. The mace is a great example. Like that
Yeah.
mace is not something that you can pick up and just,
This one
fling around.
is about 20-25% of my body weight. I want to do a 360 with it, overhead pressing it, doing much with it. It sucks. I hate it. I want to throw this thing at a car one day and watch it drive down the road. Ooh, I almost broke my foot with it. Yeah, doing a 360 with that anytime soon is not going to happen. I can do it with a 10 pound. I can kind of do it with a 15 pound, but I need to choke way up. But I'm still like probably years away from being able to do that. People see with my animal flow, even with yoga. We were talking about that the other day. People are, this is so easy. We can do this, no problem. You see them a couple under switches, maybe a side kick through, maybe a couple sun salutations, A's, and they're like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And it's like, bro, I thought you said it would be easy.
Yeah.
Well, what's that about all that trash you were talking? I want to hear it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that raises a really great point, is perceptions about all of the work that we're doing, right? For something even as easy as like, you get that person who says, I feel really unhealthy. I want to lose some weight. I want to get on that path to lose 20 pounds, right? And for some reason, thank you, this fast food culture, right, where everything is instant gratification, we think that's going to happen in like 2 weeks. Oh yeah, I can drop 20 pounds in no time at all if I just like, run a couple miles every day and just like eat only vegetables. And I mean, is it possible to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks? Sure. But is that sustainable in the way that would happen? Absolutely not. And over and above being unsustainable, like, it's incredibly unhealthy. So yeah, you may have hit your goal in that time, but you've done all kinds of irreparable damage to yourself in the process. And, that whole concept of perception is like vital. It comes back to patience. The reason why dollar cost averaging works is because it's done over such a long period of time that you make up a lot of what you're spending in your wins, over the course of that time. It's getting to the point of recognizing that and understanding that. Wanting to do a 360, how much does that mace weigh?
25 pounds.
25 pounds is beastly. That's a heavy mace. It is. The mace I have that I practice with is 15 pounds. Yesterday we have a broken Olympic bar, right? So that thing's 45 pounds and one end got split off. So I'm not sure how much the ends weigh. And I'm guessing from how much it felt like it was probably maybe only 5 or 7 pounds or so. So like swinging a 35-pound at least like weight around, doing 360s with that thing that was something else entirely, but the amount of time that I've spent playing with my mace, conditioning myself with it, like rolling through it, like it's starting off with it wasn't fun. Doing those overhead presses like you were talking about, there's a lot that goes into like conditioning yourself to arrive at a point where you can manage it well. And most of it, honestly, for me at least, like it wasn't fun. I was stuck on the idea that I would eventually be able to do cool shit. And that was my motivating factor for me to like settle in and do those stupid squats and extensions and like the one-legged shoulder press balance work and like all that stuff, because at the end of the day, like it's hard. It's hard and it doesn't look cool. And if you don't know anything about the mace, you probably think it looks stupid. So it's, what are you going to do? But those are the spaces that you have to sit in until you arrive at a point where you're competent, right? It's like embracing the suck, as you said, like recognizing that, yeah, I'm not in a place where I want to be, but if I keep doing this stuff, I'm going to get there. And for most people starting this journey, you can set realistic expectations about when am I going to be able to get my solid push up? When am I going to be able to do my pull up? When am I going to be able to run a mile without running out of air, right? Gasping for air and just dying halfway through. Like these are things that when you set yourself up in a program, you can measure, have a good idea about like when you can reasonably expect to arrive at something like that. But when it comes to something like the mace, man, like how long is it going to take you to do 360? I don't know. That's a skill that requires a large amount of competency, and it's not something that you're going to be able to build overnight. It's not something that you're going to be able to dream of, wake up and do, right? It's something that you're putting in the work every day. You're showing up, and that's it. Like that's it. Dollar cost averaging takes time. You want your investments to grow, it takes time. You want to invest in yourself, that's going to take time too.
Yep. Easy come, easy go. I, I see it with people all the time too. I mean, we're people. I don't always take other people's advice either. Sometimes I just like to do what I want to do. So I understand it when clients do it. But like even I was running an 8-week challenge sometime, and some dude, one of my guys, lost like 25 pounds in 8 weeks. I was like, shit, dude, you were killing it. And then I found out he was doing steel mace in the morning. He was doing body weight in the afternoon. He was doing yoga at night. He was doing intermittent fasting with the keto diet. Like he was literally running himself into the ground. And I talked to him, and he wasn't reporting all of it. He was hiding it because he knew I didn't agree with it. Whereas, like, I'm like, if I don't agree with it, I'm still going to let you run with it and learn the hard way. It's not going to change my opinion of you. I'm going to let you take those bumps because I'm the type of person that needs to take those bumps too sometimes. So I respect that. But then I talked to him like a week or two later, and he pretty much gained all of his weight back. And I was like, dude, like, I don't want to be the guy that says I told you so, but I got to be and I'm not going to go there because I'm not going to pour salt or add insult to the injury. But do we see eye to eye now? Can we move forward together now in a way that's actually going to help you over the long term? Or do you want to just do things your way? That's okay. I just can't work with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. If you think it's too easy, I will look you in the eye. I will tell me your name. I will send you a personalized video and say, I call bullshit. Prove it to me for 3 months. And I will make you record and track everything and send it to me every single day for 3 months just to see how true what you thought that statement is, how true that statement is. that's all I got for you guys. I'm ready to wrap this up. We're a little bit over time here. I think this is a great spot to end it. I think we really nailed that home. You have anything else to add?
No,
Brilliant. Sovereign Nation, thanks for the feedback. You guys have been great every single episode. We're definitely feeling the love. All of you guys in the SH program, even people who aren't. I will clarify something. Sovereign Health is not full. We still have a long way to go. People are getting confused because when we first started out, we had 20 seats to prove a minimum viable product in the crypto space. We hit that mark within a week and a half. We have 200 seats in total in the program. So we've still got about 180 seats left. So if you're in Bankless DAO and you want to get involved and you want to learn how to just be 1% better every single day in every single way, we can help you get there. And the more feedback we get from you guys, the more we can improve and tailor the program to help you get there in the way that you want to get there. And we can't do it without you. And for people outside the DAO, we're ready for you too. We've got accounts with your name on it. All you got to do, reach out to us, hit us up. Our contact information isn't very hard to find. And we hope to hear from you guys soon. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whatever it is when you listen to this. Cheers, guys.